Hey, Matt. Matt,
What's up, Don?
today's a special day.
Wait, why?
Well, besides the fact that we are now on podcast number 2. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 2 of Talk and Play, where we talk and we play. And so today's topic, Matt, is our history with gaming.
Ooh.
So I think today would be a great time. You know, last week we got to talk about the Video Game Awards, which, again, I apologize, people. I mean, that was a long show, and for those of you who stuck all the way through to listen to two random guys that you just met, just blathering on about games, thank you. I thank you for your appreciation. We appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, the comments. You know, you guys are awesome.
100%.
100% shout out to all of you. But I was like, you know what? I think today would have been a great day for people to get to know us. And so, because this is majority gaming, a majority of a gaming channel, man, I am. Whew, anyways, because this is right. Right.
Get your bearings straight, bro. Come on.
I'm trying. Come on, and just wake up, Don. Because this is majority a gaming channel, you know, the first few episodes, I being our journalist person, I thought, you know what, let's use this time to talk about our history with gaming, and let's just let the people listening just get to know us a little bit. So, first off, I'm Don, and I am a teacher. My job, my occupation is I am an educator. Specifically, I am an elementary school teacher. Now, a lot of people would not think that seeing me. If you see me, you would look at me and be like, no, you're not. Yes, I am. 100% I am. And yeah, I've been teaching now for 2 years. Yeah, this is my second year. So I have 2.5 years under my belt. Half a year went to I was actually a teacher for half a year at a middle school, which don't even get me started on that. That will be a different day. That was a whole experience in itself, man. I'm telling you, I think that could just be like a bonus podcast at one point if we want to just, if people are interested to know what it's like to be a middle school teacher, I will gladly just spill my guts to you guys, because if you want to listen, I will talk. I am a talker. Which is kind of funny. We did talk about this too with our podcast. You know, we are Talk and Play. And I remember pointing this out to you. Do you remember what I pointed out to you?
You want to refresh my memory on that one?
Yeah, I got you, man. It was the whole... the podcast is called Talk and Play. And I was like, man, you know, it was so hard to come up with that name because we were on a name for like 4 days. It was ridiculous, but... it was just funny because we come up with Talk and Play podcast, and I was like, man, that's fitting because you stream. You are a Twitch streamer as your hobby and as a side project, and you are more of a gamer. You know, you take more time, you put more time into your gaming, and then I'm a talker. You know, like that is what my job entitles, is me talking and presenting. And you know, so I was like, man, that's so fitting. That title works so well. It's, you know, Talk, Don, and Play, Matt. And for a second, I was like, man, dude, that should just be our names. Like, we should just be like the kind of like the radio hosts, you know, that have like just a random name that nobody really knows. And it's just like, dude, what's his real name? It's like, dude, I don't even know. Oh.
Exactly. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I love playing games. I'm definitely not much of a talker, but like ever since I met you about 10 years ago, you've definitely broken me out of my own shell. And, you know, I definitely give you credit to the person that I've become now. You know,
Dude.
You definitely broke me out of my own shell, which I love it, man. It's great.
You're welcome. Dude, 10 years I've known you. It's ridiculous. You've seen, like, 10 years ago, so, you know, going back to me being a teacher, 10 years ago, when you met me and you saw me, did you ever see me being a teacher?
Personally, no. Like, if you want me to be completely honest, I saw you
No,
as
please
like,
do.
I saw you as like maybe like a desk job, you know, just doing just monotonous stuff all day, or I thought you'd like be a writer, because the way you explain things, I could see you writing a book.
I mean, I appreciate that, and the way when you said, please, do you want, to be honest? Yeah, please do. This is time for us just kind of just spill our guts in this, and yeah, excuse me, I I will even say, like, no one thought I would be a teacher. Heck, even my family at one point thought I would be a dropout. And so that
Wow.
just kind of tells you, yeah, I know, it's kind of mind blowing. But yeah, so yeah, I'm a teacher. Love my job. My job is not a job. As cliche as the saying is, they say, if you do something you love, you will never work a day in your life. And I take that to an extent. Like, it is work from time to time. There is like a 25%, background to teaching that is work and is hard to do and is stressful and draining. That 25% is just part of the stress. And then on top of that, being in charge of little ones is, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole other aspect. But I love my job. I do. And, what do I do to wind down? What do I do to de-stress on a day? Well, you're on a Talk and Play podcast, so you can only assume by the description and bio of our channel, I am also a gamer. That's my hobby. I love gaming. I've been gaming since I was 4 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, 4 years old. 4 years old is a lot more accurate. Yeah, I've been playing for 4 years since I was 4 years old. Due to we obviously don't want to give too much personal information, but just put into perspective that, yeah, 4 years, and how old I am now. It's a lot of time put into games. So that's my hobby. On top of that, the other stuff I like to do, I like to spend time with my beautiful girlfriend of now 8 years. Love her to death. She is awesome. She's like she is my better half. So shout out to you, babe. But yeah, that's kind of, before we get into the history of gaming, just kind of want people to know who I am, and, so that when they're like, oh, that's Don, oh, he's the teacher. If you remember me for anything, just remember me as, if you're like, oh God, which one's Don, which one's Matt? Oh, Don's the one that put 4 years into a university and put himself into school debt. So yeah, remember me for that. But Matt, go ahead, man. Let the people know you a little bit.
Yeah, like we all probably know by now. My name is Matt. I'm a mechanic at heart. My father, he taught me everything that I needed to know about working on cars, and it just sort of stuck with me. I love working with my hands. Yes, right now I am working on my degree for an accountant. I don't know. I love crunching numbers. I'm about 3 classes away. I finished all my prerequisites for accounting, and
yes, that's just the proper trajectory. Mechanic, crunching bones, your personal bones, and crunching metal to crunching numbers. I love it.
there's nothing
Poetry in motion.
exactly. There's nothing worse than on a freezing cold day up north, having your wrench slip off a bolt and smashing your knuckles on like the subframe of a vehicle, and just having it just hurt so bad. I love it, man. I love it. I can't explain it.
But I remember you told me that you were telling me as we were becoming friends, and I still remember back in high school you told me that you grew up playing with Legos like crazy. You love Legos, and so it's kind of funny that you go from playing with Legos, which, you know, they're these beautiful bricks that you build and put together to make what you want, and they fit so perfectly. And it's just like you went from putting blocks together that fit perfectly to putting pieces that fit perfectly, and then now you want to put numbers to fit perfectly. It's like it's awesome, dude. I love that about you, man. That's awesome.
Exactly. And whenever I look at something, I look at it from a literal or mathematical point of view. You know, when I put a car together, it's the same way I put Legos together. I remember how it came apart. It's got to look the same when I put it together. That's how I think of it. And I love working. Right now I'm working on a Honda Civic. It's a 1999. I put a engine from a Honda CR-V into it, which is, if you don't know, a SUV. So I'm basically putting an SUV engine and transmission into a sedan. And I've got everything together. All I'm waiting for is my computer to come in and a new exhaust, and then it'll be all done.
You know, it's funny. You said all that, and there may be like a few, you know, there may be a small percentage of people who are car people as well who listened to that and said, "Wow, Matt, that's insane. That's crazy. That's awesome." For those of us who are not car people, I'm pretty sure all of us just heard car go boom, and that's pretty much it.
I mean, when it comes down to the bare bones of it, that's all you need to know. Is it's gonna go fast.
Does car go vroom or does car not go vroom? Because if it doesn't, then it needs to be fixed.
Right now, it's not going vroom, but that's just because it needs a couple key components. That's it.
So
but that's me. I'm a simple guy. You know. I'm open to everybody. You know, I was the type of person in high school that was friends with everyone. I was friends with the jocks, the cheerleaders, the nerds. I know it's not right to call people nerds, but like, you know,
but like in the time that we grew up in, like, I mean, and you know, it makes it sound like old farts or like whatever, but that was the thing. And you know, it's funny that you mentioned that, because it's like you, me, and a few handful of others, like, we were those people that we were our own little clique in high school, but like we weren't, like, we were known. That's the thing. Like, we were known, and we knew everybody, but we weren't popular.
Exactly.
It was so weird.
Yeah, we talked to the quarterback of the varsity football team, or the person that nobody knew. You know, we were there for everything, and I feel like that was important to me, man. Like, you know, because I don't like fitting into a certain clique. I treat everyone exactly the same.
Right, exactly. And you know, that's part of why we love our podcast. You know, this is only episode 2, but you know, like, Matt and I have put some work into this, and it's one of those things where we put a lot of thought into what we want our message to be, what we want to do. And you know, we had a consultant as well helping us out, and you know, we really came to the big thing we want is inclusivity. We want people to feel welcome here, and I feel like that, you know, that experience in our lives really played into that, you know.
Definitely, man.
For sure. So what about your hobby, my friend? What is your hobby?
My hobbies, it's really weird. I mean, I guess you could say my hobbies is working on my Honda Civic, or, you know, playing video games. I love playing video games, man. That's what I spend most of my time doing. But you know, I love spending time with my wife and my child. They mean everything to me. You know, it's just whenever, it's hard to explain. Once you have a family, things change, but you know, you always have to make room for your hobbies. You know, I love my wife because she supports me in everything that I do. So she knows I love playing games, and she supports me in it. And I'm glad to be sharing this experience with everybody.
I am too, man. I mean, you know, you are, you know, it's awesome to have one of my best friends. You know, it's funny because I say one of my best friends, and for the people who are listening, they're probably like, what do you mean one of? I always have, you know, I learned that you can have your friends on one hand, and you and our other brother you know, we the three of us, we consider ourselves like true brothers. We came up through school together. You know, we had our experiences together. If you're listening to this, you know who you are, my friend. You always have our love and respect, and you know that man has always had our back. And so, you know, it's just, but it's awesome to be able to have this experience with one of my best friends, and also have our loved ones. You know, your wife, my girlfriend, like they have also helped us out with this podcast. They've put some time into it and supported us through it, and it's awesome. You know, it's awesome to be doing this. And so yeah, you know, I agree though. It's awesome to have supportive people in your life who support your hobbies. You know, my girlfriend, you know, she's accepted, you know, she accepted me from day one of who I am, and you know, she's totally cool with me gaming, and you know, she knows that is my thing. I love gaming, you love gaming. That's one of the reasons, that's one of the things we bonded with, and that's actually falls into one of our later categories that we will talk about. But Matthew, can you tell me, what is your favorite genre of game now? Like, what is like when you think of gaming, like when someone comes up to you and says, "Hey Matt, what do you like to play?" What would you tell them?
Oh, easily what I love to play is MMOs. I love any type of MMO. Like, I'll give it a shot, whether, you know, it looks terrible or it looks amazing. I want to try it. I guess the first MMO I ever played was RuneScape back in the day. I'm gonna have to assume that it was back in 2006 when it was just getting started, because I believe it started in 2004. It's a very simple game back in the day, and it actually came back in, you know, it's hard to say. I believe it was around 2016. They came out with.
I just want to cut you off. I'm so sorry, but just want to give you just RuneScape released in 2001.
Oh, excuse me. Well,
I just wanted to let you know.
I know. Okay. Well, let me give you history. There was RuneScape Classic, which it's called now, that went from 2001 to 2004, and from 2004 to 2007, they had, you know, it was still called RuneScape. And then they had RuneScape 2, which, you know, it had better graphics, different, you know, combat designs and all of that up until a certain point. And then they came out with RuneScape 3, which had another set of upgraded graphics and combat mechanics. And then it didn't feel like the RuneScape anymore. So up until recently, I don't know for sure. I believe it was for 2016. They came out with old school RuneScape, OSRS, which was back in, you know, the pre-2007 days, you know, the heyday of the actual game. And I still play that to this day. You know, they're constantly updating the game. The devs are always listening to what the players have to say. They won't put an update in the game unless 75% of the player base has agreed on it. And I think that is amazing. I love having a community that gives their feedback and actually having developers that listen to them. And then, you know, before, you know, old school RuneScape came out in 2016, back in 2008, I saw my buddy, his name was Brett, playing Wrath of the Lich King on World of Warcraft. And that is what set me off on my MMO adventures. I saw him playing this game, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to get on this hype train, man. And ever since 2008, I have been hooked on World of Warcraft. Every single expansion, I have been there on day one. I absolutely love it. I don't know what it is, man. The grind, every game that has a grind, I'm on it, man. I don't know, man. There's something about putting in work to getting something out of it. It's what keeps me going. What about you, man?
For sure. I totally agree with that, and just based off of that, it just kind of makes me laugh a little bit that hearing that you started at Lich King. So for those of you who don't play World of Warcraft, that was the third expansion. So there was the Classic, there was Vanilla, which was the first one, Burning Crusade, which was basically expansion 2, and then Wrath of the Lich King, which is part 3. And I jumped in at Burning Crusade. I was in there right after Vanilla. So I'll get into that though, because that is actually part of our topic later on in our podcast. But for me, my favorite genre of gaming now, man, it's a tie. I love RPGs. It could be JRPGs like Persona, Dragon Age, Nier Automata, or it could be something, like an RPG like The Witcher, or it could be, basically anything that allows me to just kind of escape for a little bit, which I mean, that's kind of all games, but I like the games where I am the hero, or I am the villain, whatever I want to do, and just have the freedom to be able to move around and just let my actions, let me do what I want to do. And, so I love RPGs, and one of my favorite series which our next, the next question I have for us it has to do with that, so I'll get into it. But one of my favorite games, is an RPG, and so I really am excited to talk about that. But I'm like, I love all kinds of genres, but it's a tie between RPGs and I love looter games, man. I love a good looter. Borderlands, Borderlands 3.
Borderlands.
I put it down for right now just because, I've already have my maxed out character with all the best gear. And, I just love a game that constantly rewards you. Now, I said in our last podcast that I have ADHD, and so when I'm playing a looter game, something about just seeing all the colors and always seeing these bright, shiny, it takes that primal part of my brain and goes, ooh, shiny material. It makes me happy, and so, it's kind of like that caveman, ooh, fire, bright. And that's what happens with looter games is I see these colors, and, by now we know, us gamers for the most part, we know white, green, blue, purple, orange. That is the progression of loot. And so once you start playing games where blues and purples and oranges are popping out everywhere, you're being rewarded, and that part of your brain that enjoys the reward part of your brain is just firing on all cylinders. And that's why I love looter games as well, like Borderlands, Diablo. Right now I'm playing, I'm still working on Division. I'm still in it, but I love it. I just, anything that just throw loot at me, just give me something to look forward to. I love a game with a good grind too, but something about the instant reward. It's kind of like gambling, It's like put the quarter in and hope you get some, hope you win something, but instead it's like put the bullet in the person and hope you get something in return. So
yes,
so that's where I'm at with that. So that's where my taste is now. I like games where I could just pick them up, play quickly, put them down. And then my final one, it's my other one is I do love some shooters. Part of Borderlands is that shooter aspect, so I do love shooters that kind of go in there. But right now it's between RPG and looter games. But yeah, segueing into the next question I have here for us is favorite game or favorite game series. Now, I already mentioned, and I'll make this kind of quick. I was saying that I love RPGs, and one of my favorite games of all time, my favorite game series of all time, is Kingdom Hearts. Now, at that moment that I said those words, about 5 listeners went, yes, I like this guy. 2 people said, isn't that the game with Donald Duck and Goofy? And 1 person said, Kingdom what? Kingdom
Yes.
Hearts.
That's exactly what I thought of. Like, when you first told me about the game, I'm like, isn't that made for kids? And you, for years, you're like, dude, you need to play this. And I'm like, nah, bro, that's a kid's game. And I played a little bit of one because they had a whole pack with like the first 6 games. And I played it. I'm like,
Yep.
all right, this is cool. And then finally, like when 3 came out, you're like, dude, you need to play this. And when I played it, I couldn't get enough of it, man. I binge played that game for days. I loved it, man.
I know. I remember you telling me about it, and I'm like, it made me excited because Kingdom Hearts is like that's my series, and I had to give major shout out to my big brother, one of my big brothers, Mark. He is the reason why I got into Kingdom Hearts. I saw him playing it, and I remember just this. I'll get into it with the gaming memories, but he is the reason why I fell in love with the game. That series is just amazing. It was there for me during dark parts of my life, and it was there during good parts of my life. And Kingdom Hearts has just always been that constant. Like, I'm one of those nerds that I'm not at the level where I know every nook and cranny in detail, but I can tell you to the best of my ability, like about 85% of the story, because it's such an elaborate story. But just it's that ADHD, that shiny part of my brain that the games are just so colorful and vibrant, and bringing in Disney of all things, like
Oh yeah.
the child in me. The child in me plays Kingdom Hearts, and I'm playing this, and I'm sitting there, and I'm 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 again, seeing these characters and come to life and getting to interact with them, and Kingdom Hearts will forever be one of my favorite game series. 3. I know a lot of people were split on 3 because they're like, "Whoa, it didn't do everything we wanted it to do," and I get it. But Kingdom Hearts 3, man, it was just a wild ride. They did so many new fun things, and like I said, that shiny part of my brain was like, "Yay, more, please!" Gorilla over here, and so the gorilla in me was like, "More." And it was awesome. It was just a wild ride from start to finish. I loved it. And yeah, so for my favorite game or series, I'm gonna have to say Kingdom Hearts. What about you, man? What's your favorite game or series? What would you throw in there?
Oh man, this was definitely a toss-up, man. Back from the days, like, because I have owned every single PlayStation console that has ever come out. And it's definitely a toss-up between Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. And I have to give it to Crash Bandicoot. I am definitely a platformer at heart. I love Mario, just everything about it. And then Crash Bandicoot added a little bit more to it. You know what I mean? Like a little more obstacles.
Right. And it's funny that you say that, because I remember, I would always remember seeing like you, me, and our other third brother. I don't, just for the sake of it, us 3 would play platformers together, and I was always the one dragging you guys because I was slowing you down. You guys are like, I'm not a platformer person. I can play them, but man, the way you and our bud over here, our brother, know how to do it. Like I'm not on your level. I bow to you guys.
I love it, man. And then, I absolutely killed Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3. And then I believe they had Crash Bandicoot, I think it was called Bash or something like that, where you were, in an arena the whole time. I don't really consider that part of this series, but we don't
talk about Crash Bash. We're talking about the racing one after CTR. Like, none of those exist.
My god, CTR. No, CTR. I can give it the okay just because I'm a car guy. But when they came out with the remake for a PlayStation 4, I was super excited. I'm still working on platinum in the game, The only thing that's stopping me is the time trials. Like, their time trials are absolutely ridiculous. And when I found out that they were coming out with the Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, I lost my mind. I had to get it. And when it came out, I got it, and I absolutely love it. And it is absolutely ridiculously hard. Like, the levels, like, you take the hardest level from every single Crash Bandicoot game, you meld it together, it's like every game, every level on the new game. I love it. I love the challenge. You know, it's amazing. And I hope they keep the series going, and I hope they come out with a Crash Team Racing, like, 2 or something like that. I would
just to give you just to give you a little excitement there. There are rumblings, there are talks, and there are things floating around that there is another Crash game in the works right now.
Don't tell me that.
So
Don't.
I'm telling you that, dude. You know I'm always on. You know I'm always like researching this stuff and always getting the information. So like I'm telling you right now, yeah, there is something in the works. So just like have your wallet ready. You know, get a couple 20s, hide them, stash them away, and just be ready for it.
Just take my wallet, man.
Just take it all. And it's funny because we were talking about how, and last week when we were talking about the Video Game Awards, one of the nominees for Family Game Award for the game, the Family Game of the Year, Crash 4 was on there, and you said something that it had me cracking up. I think we need to share with everybody. Was that when you said you saw the list and you said, man, Crash 4, when we were making our predictions, you were like, Crash 4, we're gonna have to, you're like, we have to take that out. And I was like, why? And you said, because when I think of family games, I think of games where everybody can play together and everyone can enjoy. And I could tell you, verbatim, you said, I could tell you firsthand, when I play that game, there is not family-friendly language spewing out. And that that killed me, because I'm like, man, you and like, you know, a couple 100,000 people who bought that game probably feel the same way. You know, like, it is a family-friendly game, and like, oh, it's cutesy, but no, man, like, you play that game, it goes from rated E to rated M real quick.
Oh, so quick. It's crazy. It's so hard. Like, you know, you have to be so precise in the game. It's not like what it used to be. I mean, the games back in the day had challenges. Yeah, your jumps had to be precise, but there's so many obstacles in the way now. It makes it unfair, and I love it. I love it, man. I love a challenge. Like, bringing like nostalgia with a challenge, I can't ask for anything more.
Yeah, man. I agree. I'm not one for total challenges. That's why, like, Dark Souls, the Soulsborne series is one of those. Is like one of those series that, like, again, ADHD brain, guys. So those of you listening, when I say this, I want you to understand that as somebody with ADHD, and I'm not using it as a crutch. I'm not trying to use it as a crutch. And you know, there are some of you with ADHD that play it. Like one of our mutual friends. He plays it and he's beaten all the Soulsborne, but like when I'm playing the Soulsborne games, like if I get frustrated, I was that kid that if like I was playing tag, I was always the fat kid, you know? I was always the fat kid, and when I would play tag, I got mad and walk away playing tag because I couldn't keep up with anybody. Like when the moment I was it, like I just walked away. So like the challenge, challenge and adversity, like I already faced that in my life. I don't want that in my games too. Like, I want to be all powerful, I want to be the genie with phenomenal cosmic power.
Exactly.
And so, that's my take on the hard games. So like Crash Bandicoot, keep it. I'll try it, but like, man, my blood pressure, my doctor's like, my doctor's like, you're good right now, but man, if I play one more Crash Bandicoot level, I'm pretty sure she's gonna start me up on something.
Oh, for sure.
So, best gaming memories, man. That's our next topic. This
is a good topic, man.
I love this topic. This topic, in our notes, so for those of you who've never done a podcast or don't know, if you've never even done for those of you who've done any group project or group assignment, then you have a shared doc for everybody. And so we have our notes here. And so this question, I have a couple things on here that I really do want to touch on because these are some memories and a half, man. So I brought up Kingdom Hearts. I told you guys, I said Kingdom Hearts has been there for me, and one of my favorite memories. The reason why Kingdom Hearts is like so near and dear to me because one of my older brothers, Mark, he was the one that introduced me to Kingdom Hearts. I played Kingdom Hearts 2 because of him, because he owned it, and he had his copy. So when he was done with it, I played 2 first, which, I mean, people would be like, why would you do that? Because I was a stupid child, and that was all I had at the time, so deal with it. But I'm not taking your anger at me right now, because after beating and playing 2, my brother was telling me oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts 1 is also a really great game, but I don't have a copy. And I was like, man, I really want a copy. And I was like, I know, man, and I think I was at the time, I can't remember how old I was when I played 1, but after beating 2, I was like, I need to have 1. So I took the money I've saved up from Christmases and birthdays, and Mark being the one of us 2 who could drive. The moment we found online that Kingdom Hearts 1 was a GameStop, and I had the money for it, I called to hold the pre-order. Mark and I drove to GameStop so quick, and we bought that game, and we were both ecstatic because that game was just it's what opened up even more. Kingdom Hearts 2 was awesome, and I was able to get the story, but then Kingdom Hearts 1 really helped tie everything up, and it was that's one of my favorite gaming memories. That's one of the memories that I have. There's many, but it's one of the strong memories I have of Mark, my brother, who is my adopted brother, mind you. That is one of the things that we bonded over, and that is one of the things we still bond over. We have so many laughs and, tears, and he's one of the... It's awesome, we talk about that game, and we're just like, we can laugh at something or cry about something because the games are so powerful. And so that has to be one of my best gaming memories. I know it's not, in video game related, but it is definitely gaming related. In the sense of it's the first video game that we bonded over, so that is definitely one of my favorite memories. I feel like we should go back and forth on these because I got 4 of these I should hold near and dear that I feel like would get people to know us a little bit more. So if you want to share one, go for it, man. What do you got?
Oh, for sure. There's been one I've been wanting to talk about specifically. I don't mean to get any type of sympathy or anything like that, but I moved around a lot as a kid, just the way, employment was for my parents and everything like that. And then finally I ended up going to, a high school where I ended up staying for the rest of my, high school days, until I graduated. It was sophomore year, and I'm in the middle of study hall. I believe, if I remember, it was 3rd period, and I was sitting there. And across from me was this guy named Tyler, and then across and to the right was a guy named Don, as you're listening to right now.
Gasp!
And
Gag!
I don't 100% know how the conversation started up, but
I remember.
I heard him talking that he played WoW, which if you don't know...
No. I will cut you off right there.
Okay, cut me off a little bit.
If you want to tell the story right, here's what happened. So he's saying that he doesn't remember how it came up. No, it came up because you opened your wallet for something. I remember you opened your wallet. You had the wallet in your hands, and you opened it up, and you were looking for something, and out people, if you believe in faith or fate or destiny, it was meant to be, because just randomly a WoW time trial card for
Yes.
3
Yes.
months fell out of
I
this
forgot
kid's
about that,
wallet.
bro. Yes. Oh my god.
Go for it if you remember the rest of the story.
I
I'll fill
don't
in the
remember.
blanks if I need to.
All I know is that like you were talking about it, and then like I was, I hate that I was like this back in the day, but I thought that WoW was like, it instantly made you a nerd, and it's like
it was kind of like anime back then,
Yeah.
Like if you watched anime, like WoW and anime were on that wavelength of like if anyone knew and you partook in any of these, like you were done.
Yeah, but it's a trend now to be a quote unquote weeb, as they call it.
We will
But
talk about
we
that,
would have
but
been the
go for
cool
it.
kids back in the day, if we watched that type of stuff. And it's like after like I think Tyler went to go like take a bathroom break or something like that, and you were sitting across. I'm like, "Yo, you play WoW?" And you're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yo, what realm are you on?" And then instantly you're like, "All right, this guy plays WoW."
Instant best friend. Like
It was
like,
great.
It was a stepbrother moment. Did we just become best friends? Like,
It was great.
Yes.
And then as soon as I found out what realm he played on, I switched all my character. I started a brand new character. It was a rogue called Goron. And
Goron.
I
man.
still have Goron to this very day. I'm about to get him to max level because a new
Man.
new expansion came out. Oh my god, we had the greatest of times going through raids, dungeons, quests, everything the game had to offer. We did together.
All because some force out there at that time must have known that you were not feeling like you truly had a good set of friends. Because, like, you even, you talk about it like, yeah, these people were your friends, but you felt still, like, out of place.
Exactly. It was like,
And-
it's because I just moved there. It's because
Yeah.
I was going to a different high school, and then I just moved. I think it was my first or second day. I swear, I want to
Yep.
remember that it was my first day, because
It was
like
fir-
I didn't
it
even
had to
know
be your
you were
first
in
day.
my English class, which was our last period. And then when I saw you in my English class, I'm like, oh, hell yes, man. Someone I know, someone I can connect with. This year's going to be easy, man.
And from there, it became like just the
Yeah,
it's
the rest
like
is history, bro.
Like yeah, from listening from right now, the rest is history. Like that was that was us in high school, and this is us now. Like we are still best friends. He is Matt to me is like a brother to me. Like he is that brother that. Not that I never had, because I had awesome brothers, but he is another brother that I needed, especially to get through high school, and together we made it through. And gaming is what brought us together, and it's what's bringing us together for this, man. It's awesome.
Oh, definitely. We helped each other through the good and the bad, and we've
Oh,
always been with each other. We always will be, man. Nothing will ever stop that.
For sure, dude. I'm right there with you, and it's funny that gaming has been like a major core of it, starting with WoW. So by some force, something somewhere was like, hey, let's make that time card fly out of your wallet and land close enough for this fat kid to look at it and realize he truly is not alone, and there are people like him, and it sparked into what we now have as a brotherhood, and it's awesome.
Amazing,
So,
man.
dude, I know. So I got 2 more gaming memories here. One of them is, so last week we talked about the Video Game Awards and how, one of my hyped moments was Sephiroth joining Smash. My God.
You're so excited about that. I love it, man.
Dude, oh man, Sephiroth, like I love Sephiroth. He's my top 2 Final Fantasy villains, next to Kefka. but like Kefka for me comes first, and then comes Sephiroth. And so the reason why I was so hyped with Sephiroth coming to Smash though is because he actually holds one of my favorite gaming memories. And it does involve Kingdom Hearts, and it involves Mark. And what happened was, so in Kingdom Hearts, if you've never played Kingdom Hearts 1, which, I mean, come on guys, it's been like, what, 17, 18 years at this point? Like, get with it. But basically, you go to the Olympus Coliseum, and there are tournaments, and you have different cups. There's bronze, silver, gold, Hades Cup, because Hades decides to be a jerk and make you go through like 100 rounds of enemies, and it's abysmal. Then there's like the Titan Cup and all this stuff. And then when you finally go through and you get to the end of the game, and you know, you were talking about how you didn't really, you know, you only played a few hours, so you didn't get to experience this, but I beat the game. I grinded decently. I was like level 75. Younger kids, so remember I wasn't that smart, and I remember I go into, you know, you go to the Coliseum, and you know, you have all the cups there, and then once you beat the game and you go back to the Coliseum, there is one last tournament. And when you look at the list, it's right there, but all it is just question marks. And I remember clicking on that because I was like, oh, one more tournament, and then I'm good to go. Well, for those of you who've played Kingdom Hearts and who've beaten Kingdom Hearts 1, you know what those question marks mean at this point, so you're ahead of me. You know what's coming. For those of you who have never played Kingdom Hearts, you click on it, and a cutscene happens, and you see a beam of light shine down onto the arena. Donald and Goofy are nowhere to be found. Donald and Goofy leave your side, and you are all alone in this arena, and this beam of light comes down, and like I said at the from the Video Game Awards last week, all it took was 3 notes. Dun, dun, dun. And the moment I heard that song of One Wing Angel, just dun, 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 I was like, I knew I messed up. I knew I messed up. Like, the moment Sephiroth came down, I literally looked at my controller, looked at the screen, and just thought, well, this is it. Like, game over. This ain't happening. And I remember right after that happened, I couldn't beat him. Eventually I did, but I couldn't beat him. And I remember I went up to Mark, and I was just like, yeah, you know, if you've beaten it, you know. So, like, I went up to Mark, and I was like, yeah, you know, I went to the Coliseum, and I messed up. And he's like, what happened? I was like, I got just wiped all across the floor. And he's like, did you go to the Coliseum? I was like, I did. I was like, and I clicked on the 3 question marks. He started crying. He died laughing. He's like, yeah, you messed up, dude. I was like...
From what I've seen, I guess Sephiroth's sword takes up like the whole Coliseum, so you have like absolutely no room to block the attack. Is that true?
Yeah, pretty much. The arena you're in, like, his range is pretty much diagonally from corner to corner. Like, you know, there's like a small gap that you can roll through, but it's just rough, man. So like, I jumped in there and I was like, okay, I wonder what this is. Whatever it is, I've taken on everything else in this game. I can do it. Dun, 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 dun. And my childhood was ruined. But Kingdom Hearts, that game holds I love that game, but that memory will forever stand in my head because, man, that game just... Whew. You got another one to share?
Awesome. No, I mean, I guess gaming memories. That's about it, man. I mean,
well, my last one. I got one quick one. Was recently 2018 Cuphead. I bought an Xbox. I said last week I don't have an Xbox. I bought an Xbox for a while. Literally, I bought an Xbox with the sole intent of wanting to play Cuphead. This was before it came out on Switch. And I love Cuphead so much. And our mutual brother, there's 3 of us that are really close. Hopefully maybe one day we'll have him on the show. But our mutual brother, he and I spent a whole summer trying to beat Cuphead. And I remember we got through Like, man, me, our best friend here. He's good at platformers. He grew up on Mega Man, right? And you guys bonded over that. And he was great at Mega Man. He's great at that jump and shoot tactic. He's good at the jumping and the shooting and the running and the gunning. He's good at all of that. But even Cuphead for him, man, he would come over. We would play like 3-4 hours and only get a couple bosses done, and it was a rough game. But I remember that there was one boss. I can't remember exactly her name, but it was in the third world. There is a bee boss, and the bee boss,
Yo.
she summons like police officers and security guards, and then like the stage is constantly moving upwards, so you got to keep jumping while shooting. Man, oh man, Matthew, let me tell you, I kid you not, he came over one day and he was here for like 6 hours. We were on that bee, literally and emotionally angered.
No,
bee.
I've seen videos of that boss, and I've watched streamers play that boss, and there's no way I could do that. I don't have the patience for that.
But the thing is, a lot of streamers, like, once you get good at it, like, streamers make it look easy, but look, guys, Cuphead's not easy, man. We were on that boss for, I want to say on the first day, we spent about 3.5 hours just trying to down this boss.
Oh, I believe it, 100%.
Mind you, we had like bathroom breaks and stuff. Obviously, we didn't just go all the way through, but we couldn't beat it. We stopped, we put it down, we're like, let's play something else for today. Let's come back with a fresh brain, fresh mind, fresh eyes. Comes back 2 days later. Matt, we were on this boss another 2.5 hours. But the moment I remember this specifically because I remember we got to the top. She's doing all her stupid moves across the screen, and oh my god, the controller was so close, flying out of my hand, and this bee hits me, knocks me down, kills me, and I'm out for the count. Now, in Cuphead, when you play co-op, you are able to jump and then parry your friend to bring him back to life. Well, Riddell, our best friend, there's his name, jumps for dear life, goes to get me, misses me by a hair.
Oh,
and
no.
So he's by himself, and he goes, I can't do it. And all I said was, you got this. And he's jumping and shooting, and dude, he was one hit away. This man literally was on his last leg. He got the last bullet off. Matt, we literally, the moment it said, KO, knockout, we jumped out of the couch, we high-fived, we hugged like we had just won the lottery, but it was just this virtual bee that kept whooping us, man. Like, to the verge of, so I was on the verge of tears in that, and with that game.
And those are the type of moments you just won't fully understand unless you actually play the game. And it's so hard to explain that to people. Like, oh, it's just a game, bro. No, it's not.
No.
It's a way of life, man.
This is what we eat, sleep, and breathe on top of Mountain Dew, Doritos, pizza, and other things that are not great for our body. Back off.
Exactly.
So, the last question before we wrap up this podcast, this one will, hopefully this is definitely the ending here, is, Matt, do you remember when your taste in gaming changed? Do you remember at what point you went from that Crash Bandicoot platformer child to when did that switch go off and just change everything for you to what you are now?
Oh, I completely understand when my whole mentality changed. It's when you messaged me and were like, bro, you need to download Fortnite Battle Royale. And I'm like, okay, screw it. Let me try this game. And we dropped down on a basic map with like 7 POIs on it?
Dude, oh my god. I remember we dropped in that, and dude, it was like, guys, when we say we were originators, like we were literally day one beta. Like
Yes, like
we got the founders umbrella day one.
And we dropped down first game ever, and we're like, we had a whole squad. I don't know who exactly what it was. I think Mark was in it, you, me, and I don't remember who our fourth person. I think it was Carlos.
I forgot who we had. Maybe. It could have been my brothers, or it could have been. I think the only other combination I can think of us playing with was Jack, and maybe someone else, or maybe we dropped in with 3. I know we had a full squad. I can't remember which combination, but yes, continue.
And we were going hard, and then we ended up hiding in this one hut that was up above the ground, yep. And an RPG came out of nowhere and knocked out your 2 brothers, bro. And then we got them both up, and then it was just us in the middle of Wailing Woods, just our whole team against one person. And we're like, dude, we see him, we gotta get him. And then you sniped him across the whole forest and took him out. Dude, I was hooked ever since. And ever since that point, I cannot get enough of battle royales. I love battle royales. I love 100 people dropping down on one map, one winner, one victory. You know what I mean? It's amazing.
I remember that game, dude. The way you described it, I just remember that sound of that crack of the bullet hitting that person as I down. Oh man, dude, yes, and that is a great concept. It's a fantastic concept, and I love that because I grew up. I read all the Hunger Games books. I read the whole series, and so Battle Royales for me was like, that is Hunger Games now,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're welcome for your addiction.
I love it, man. I can't get enough of it. For the past 3 years, I have been hooked, and it's because of you. It's legit because of you. I think I would have given that game a light of day if you're like, hey, download and try this game. Let's play this.
And we won. Doubted me with Kingdom Hearts 2, man.
We won. If we didn't win, if we got clapped first thing as we dropped, I don't know if it would have been the same experience.
You would have been like Mark. You would have been like Mark with Apex Legends. Remember, we dropped, and for the first few games, Mark hated it. He was just like, "This is stupid. I don't like this. Where are my guns? Where's my loadout? I have nothing." And now, guys, we got my brother hooked on Apex to the point where
he's max level.
He's max level. He's at
max
500.
Level, bro.
Matt and I, we did gold and platinums by ourselves before duos.
I'm level 162, bro. And he's 500.
We did platinums and golds with Kevin and our mutual friend Kevin, and we ranked up really high, gold and platinum, and then Mark jumps in, and this dude's over here I'm going for diamond, and I'm after that. I'm like, dude, man, I feel like Obi-Wan Kenobi with Anakin, I'm just I had nothing else to teach you.
Exactly. It's fantastic.
Right.
What about you, man? What changed with you? Is there a certain point in your life where all right, I love this type of game?
Yeah. So I think what happened for me was, growing up, I had 3 major shifts. My first shift was as growing up up until high school. I started off mostly in the fighting scene. I loved Marvel vs. Capcom 2. My uncle and my brother used to love letting me play that, and eventually they learned that I was a really good button masher, and they hated playing against me because I became decent to the point where it was kind of like Pavlov's dog. You hit the buttons and you realize, oh hey, they do something, so let me start. And I got really good at button mashing to the point where I could actually pull combos off, but kind of knew what I was doing. But I was only 5 or 6 years old. They still beat me, but I put up a hell of a fight. And
nice.
So I got to there, and then it came the WoW stage because I loved all kinds of games, and I played anything, especially with my brother, my big brother Carlos. We played all kinds of co-op games, so that was kind of my thing, and that's kind of my thing now. I love playing cooperative, but we went to co-op, and then we went to the biggest co-op of all, and that was World of Warcraft. And from middle school all the way through high school, I did World of Warcraft. Like, that was my thing. I will say it was an addiction. Like, and you remember this. Like, my brother and I would play from the moment I got home from school. We'd play from like 4 p.m. on a Friday night all the way till about 6 a.m. on Saturday morning. Go to sleep for a few hours, wake up at like 1 o'clock, eat some food, and get right back into it. My gaming experience really changed because I had like a 3-prong experience growing up. Like, first it was like a fighting game where I was like big into fighting games for a while, and when I was young, and like I started with platformers just like anybody, like being young, I introduced to Mario and Sonic, but then I went into fighting games. Like I remember my first fighting game ever was Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Nice.
That was my jam, dude. And I remember my brother and my uncle loved that game. My uncle had it on the Dreamcast. And he had like all the characters unlocked. Yeah, he had this on the Sega Dreamcast,
bro.
On the Dreamcast. I think I just showed my age a bit at this point. I just said I was about 4 or 5 years old, and he had it on the Dreamcast. So people are like, let's see, how old is this dude? So he had on the Dreamcast. I remember like they were really good at it, and I again, ADHD brain, man. Just like all the colors and everything. I'm like, man, this is amazing, and it was. And they would do the thing where they did that thing with the little siblings where, like, because my uncle is not like he's not my uncle. Like, my uncle is like another brother to me. He's not just like, I don't consider him just like my uncle. When I talk about this uncle, I'm talking about like he was another sibling because he was around all the time. And so they did that thing that the older siblings do to little siblings, and that was they got to the boss, they start whooping the boss, and then they would push, they would do the combo input to pull out all their ultimates together to knock out the boss, and then right as he does it, I remember he would pause the game, hand me the controller, tell me to unpause it, and just start pushing buttons.
Yes.
And so then I did that, and I got hooked because I thought I beat the boss, and I was like, oh my god, I'm amazing at this.
Yes.
And so, but eventually, my uncle and my brother, they started letting me actually play because I got, like a couple months later, I started realizing, oh, these guys are playing me. They're playing me, and I'm not playing the game. Like, something's wrong here. Like, what is this malarkey? And so I was like, okay, you know what? I want to play. So finally they let me face one of them. And they realized I'm a button masher. I was a button masher growing up. Now I'm a combo person. I know how to do combos, but I was a button masher child, and I just hit the button and, but eventually, like, kind of like Pavlov's dog, you do the button press and you see something happen, and there's like that, if I do this, Ryu Hadoukens, and if I do this, Cyclops shoots his beam, and I'm like, oh. And eventually I started getting decent at it, where I was still button mashing, but comboing, and so I love that, I love that, and eventually, like, they would still beat me, but, like, they eventually realized, like, this kid's actually putting up a fight. So, I went from that fighting, as a kid, I went from fighting to then came my shooter RPG phase, where I loved cooperative experiences. My big brother Carlos and I, we loved co-op games. We always played co-op games together. And, we played a bunch of co-op games, and then we went to the biggest co-op game of them all, World of Warcraft. Matthew, you remember this. My brother and I used to, I got addicted. I would say it was an addiction. All the way from middle school, all the way to high school. I remember my brother and I, at Friday night, 4 or 5 o'clock, we would get on WoW. We would, we didn't eat or any, like, we would eat our dinner and then we'd go on WoW, and we would stay from Friday night all the way till 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Saturday morning. Yeah. Go to sleep, wake up about 12, 1 o'clock, and do it all over again. And so, it was, I remember it got to a point where my doctor was concerned of my weight loss. My doctor was legit worried. They were like, you're losing weight really fast, but I'm still fat.
No, I totally understand. I don't mean to laugh, but I
No,
totally
laugh,
understand.
please, because dude, laugh at my pain,
It's like-
please. Like it's true though.
They don't understand. Like back, I believe it was the technically third expansion when Cataclysm came out. Back when we were in
Oh,
high
man.
school, I believe that was like our main phase. Where we're like, all right, we're putting some work into this game, and like you
Yeah.
said, we didn't sleep. We wanted to be the best of the best, and we
The
were.
grind.
We worked for it. We were at the top of the DPS charts, but it
For those
came
who
at a
don't know
cost, man.
DPS, damage per second. Matt and I got to the point where when we would run raids with our group, with our guilds, and we would get groups together, we had dude, we were those WoW addicts that we had like all the different add-ons to make our experience like more intense. And one of them was we had a chart that always charted out who were doing the most damage, who was doing the most healing, who was doing everything. And every time 10 to 12 to 13 people being damage users, and Matt and I were always at top. And
Bruh.
you know, it was
Don with tank. Tank is not meant to do DPS, alright? Tank is just meant to do aggro, which means that the mobs were supposed to just be attacking him. Don would be at the top of the DPS charts as a tank, which was not his job. Bro, Mofo would just be having people attacking him and and be doing max DPS at the same time.
I was like a medieval knight. I was like, happy,
was
you know, like I was just like, bring it.
Fantastic, man.
It was ridiculous, and that's how much time we put into this game, man. And so that was that game, you know, that taste of, you know, but the thing is, I can't, even though I was addicted, WoW was an escape for me. You know, WoW was like,
For sure.
You know, I had the group of friends, I had the people who cared about me, but like you know, I was that fat kid. I was the fat kid who people picked on and who people did look down on. And WoW was just that escape to get out of there and, you know, allow me to express myself and be myself and just be appreciated for what I can do and what I am and who I am. And people got to know me for who I am. You know, luckily I had people like you and, you know, a bunch of our other friends who were awesome that way, but you know, who got to know me but you know, that game let me be me. So then I had the fighting game, then I went to the WoW stuff, and then at that time it started bleeding into the shooter. So Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 just kind of, man, dude.
My God, that's like a whole other story, man.
Dude, that's
Modern
a whole
Warfare
other story.
2, bro.
We are running out of time, and I get it, so
I
I'm
know.
gonna make this quick. I went from Modern Warfare 2 to kind of now, where I'm still at the shooter phase, but like the shooter still is within me because I love Apex Legends. You know, I went from liking Fortnite to wanting something more fast paced, and Apex gave that to me. And I still love shooting games like Borderlands and Rainbow Six and The Division. But then that MMO, that love of MMORPG from World of Warcraft transferred over and just kind of bled and became its own thing. So now that I took out the aspects of the grind and just kind of put it into games that are manageable, and that's where my RPG love comes from. You know, plus I also had Kingdom Hearts when I was younger too. So like Kingdom Hearts to WoW, back to Kingdom Hearts, it was like this pendulum. It was so weird, but now I know that specifically from my taste now is WoW. WoW and Call of Duty was, after like from high school and on, that stuff bled in and basically made me the gamer I am today, where, you know, I am playing Apex and shooters and all these other great games, but I'm also still loving grinding and creating characters and just escaping, you know, which is a big part of the gaming culture, is that escapism. So yeah, I mean, it changed. My taste, I don't think ever really changed. It just adapted and kind of just swung back and forth, and it just, like, the pendulum is still there, you know? Like, I'm now still loving shooters, but now my pendulum is starting to go back into that MMO wanting, because, like, I do miss WoW from time to time, and that's why I love The Division, because it has aspects of WoW, of that MMO being online with people, and creating your character, but it also has the shooter aspect, which I appreciate. So,
and it doesn't require as much time as like games
no,
like World of Warcraft.
man,
It's
dude,
nice to
go
have
for
like
it.
that
Go.
perfect balance of like, hey, I gotta work for something, but I don't have to give my whole life to it. That's what I like,
Right.
especially about games like The Division. We can play, have fun, but not feel like it's taking up our whole time.
Right, and that's why I was always talking about the game. I believe it was last week when we were saying about, like, I love that drop in drop out. I love a game that I can
Yes.
pick up, play a few hours, and then get out. And that's why Apex, the Division, like, guys, I started the Division from the moment of this video. I started the Division a couple weeks ago. I'm level 30. Like, I leveled up so quickly, and now I'm going into the DLC, and it's like, within a week and a half, I was able to get my character to a higher point. When I played WoW, oh man, don't even get me started on that leveling.
That's
man.
a grind, man.
Oh, it's a rough grind, man. But I think it's time, man. It's time for. I feel like it is time for us to wrap things up right now.
Definitely.
If you stuck around up to this point, we really want to thank you so much for joining us today and joining us last week, and hopefully joining us next week. Because next week we are going to be talking about the state of gaming. 2020 is a crazy wild year, but it doesn't mean that we didn't get some good things out of it. And so, just to give you a taste of what we're talking about, we're going to be talking about things like next gen graphics and oh man, I feel like we really need to talk about. I don't feel like we need to go deep into it, but I do want to. Next week we will be talking about the PS5. The PS5 is just going crazy right now with everything going on, but that controller, the fact that a controller can make such a difference,
The haptic feedback, man. I can't wait to get into that.
Oh, so that's just a little taste for next week. So if you enjoyed it, if you enjoyed today, if you are excited for next week, we hope you enjoyed everything you heard. But as you're leaving, before you check out, just please leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and just ring that notification bell so every time we drop a new video, you will be notified. But as for now, for us, we're logging off. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, keep gaming and stay safe.